Hey friends, in this video I'm going to teach you how to make your very own custom video assets inside of Canva. So as you can see here on my screen, I am showing you the little screen that's actually my end screen for these videos on this channel. And making this was actually really easy. This specific design though, I created as part of my logo that you can see on my channel banner. But what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video is how to create some simple assets. So for example, we have this, which you saw in my previous video, how to add assets into CapCut. And then over here, we have the YouTube like and subscribe button that I showed you how to add in my last video. And so this is the asset that we added in the previous video. So let's go ahead and open a blank canvas. And the YouTube like and subscribe button is actually an element that I found right here in Canva. And what's great about Canva is that whether you're using the free or the paid version, all of their elements and things are available for commercial use. The only thing that you want to stay away from are their design templates. These are really great for using as inspiration, but don't ever use a Canva design template as a finished product for any of your commercial use items, because these are copyrighted with Canva's copyright policy as intellectual property. So these are, you can use them for personal use. So for example, I've actually used these two to help a friend with creating presentations for school projects. So that's perfectly acceptable because it's not going to be resold or anything. It is just, for personal use for a school project. Perfectly fine. For business purposes, these cannot be used as is. They have to be inspiration. You have to change them completely. And what I mean by that is, if we were to actually click on one of these presentation options, so I'll just actually go ahead and click on it. It'll just populate automatically. We would need to not only change all the colors and the fonts, we would also have to change out the pictures. We would need to actually reformat the layout to completely make it a new design. It cannot be used like this. Even if you were to just change the words and the colors, that cannot be used for commercial purposes, for business purposes. It can only be used for personal use. However, if you were to use the inspiration to either completely change everything about it yourself and add different elements and things, or use the inspiration to design your own from scratch, perfectly acceptable to then use for business purposes. For the sake of YouTube videos, or just videos in general, whether it's YouTube or other social media, creating assets for your videos is really helpful because those assets are going to be custom made by you. Therefore, they're allowed to be used for any of your videos or just anything that you make for online. Let's go ahead and get to the fun part of this video, and that is actually showing you how to create something like what you see here on my screen. So in my previous video, I opened the video saying what the video would be about, and then you saw the screen that was animated. And what's really fun about that is you can create so many different customizations, and then you can download them from Canva and then import them as a piece of media, like I showed you in my last video, into CapCut to then have those custom assets. Okay, so we're actually going to go ahead and create this exact same page. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my blank canvas over here. If I didn't already have that open, I would have just clicked this plus sign, and that would have created a new canvas. So Canva is such a fabulous tool. Okay, let's go ahead. I honestly can't rave about it enough. Let's go ahead and just click on this canvas, and we have this little menu up here. And now what I want to do is come to this colorful color wheel. That's really what it is, a color wheel. And of course it's colorful. Let's come up to this color wheel, and it's going to say background color when you hover your cursor over it, and let's click on it. And now we're going to see that we have all these color options. And what's neat is that because I already have a few other canvases inside of this file, this design file, it is pulling colors from the photos that I have, for example, inside of this canvas over here. So if I wanted to, I could select one of these colors, and that would change the color of my canvas. For this though, we're going to recreate my page 2 over here. We're going to recreate this. So let's go ahead and we're going to select this color that I already have preset here. Now, you may not have any preset colors if you're brand new to Canva. Don't even worry. If you want a specific type of color, there are 2 ways that I know of that you can go about actually grabbing the color that you want. So that is going to be a little bit more in depth. So, if you're ready for that, let's get into it. The first way that you can do it, which isn't as exact of a process, but you'll get a great color, is you can come up here to document colors, and you can click this color wheel that has a plus sign to add a new color. You can click it, and then it'll pull up this fabulous color palette here where you can slide or toggle this slider to change the color variants that are on the page. Now, if you want a gradient, you can select gradient, and then you can choose the style of gradient. So you can see how cool these look, right? So in order to get a certain color gradient, you have to be under solid color. You have to select the color that you would like the gradient to be, and then you click on gradient, and now it'll give you these gradient options. And then the best part is that if any of these colors are not what you really wanted, so let's say we picked the purple, but we don't want the pink, we can click on it and we can change it. And right there, we've been able to fully customize what the gradient actually looks like. Okay, so in order to recreate this other page, I am going to select this color. I did say I was going to show you 2 ways to pick the color that you want. So this is the first way. That's going to be like the quickest, simplest way to do it. You could stop right there and you can just fast forward to the next step. If, however, you want a very specific way to grab a specific color, there is a really simple way you can go about doing that. It does take a few more steps. So the first thing that you can do is you can go ahead and open a new tab in your web browser, and you can type in hex color picker in your search bar. And now what this is going to do is it's going to pull up these search results, and we're going to select this first option, color picker online. And what this website allows you to do is it allows you to actually upload an image to the website to then be able to select the exact colors from that image, and even creates a color palette for you. And If you're brand new to any kind of graphic design or color theory or anything like that, then you've never heard of hex color, possibly. All this is, or not hex color, hex codes, excuse me, hex color codes. All this is a specific type of code that the computer recognizes as the name of the color. So if we wanted to use this color that it just gave us as a default example, we can go ahead and click this little copy button here to copy to our clipboard the hex color code. And what that's going to do is when we go back to Canva and we click our add new color, we can then replace this hex color code by pasting. So if you're on a Windows computer, it'll be Control V. If you're on a Mac computer, it'll be Command V. So that's your paste keyboard shortcut. And then you'll just click enter. And so now we have collected that specific color from this image. So uploading an image is super simple. Just click the use your image, and all you're going to do is drag and drop from your computer files a picture that is yours or that you downloaded or whatever the case may be. You can also do a website or a web search, and they actually have the options to go through this the pictures provided by this website to find colors. So you can select any of these. So let's say we select this one. So now it's automatically produced a color palette, and we can go ahead and select any color on the palette and get the hex color code. And again, we can copy it with this little button, go back to Canva, click add new color and paste it, and then click enter on your keyboard or return, depending on what your keyboard says. It might say enter, it might say return. And now we've changed the background color of our canvas. So there you have two ways to find the color that you want. You can either search through here, or you can go to color picker, imagecolorpicker.com, and you can upload an image and find a color that way using the hex color code. So I really hope that that step was helpful. Now let's go ahead and move on to finishing creating our video asset. Okay, so we're going to again recreate the same asset. So I want this exact color because that is the color of this video asset. And then the next thing is we need some text. Now, I could totally just duplicate this page and edit it. If I wanted to just use this exact same template, I could just go to these little dots here on the actual image down here. I can click the dots and I can click duplicate page, or I can similarly right click right on my canvas and I can click duplicate page. And so now you see I've got two of the same page, which means that on one of them, I can go ahead and do all the editing and changes that I want. Now, because I'm teaching you from scratch how to create this, because you don't have a template, you have a blank canvas, I'm going to teach you the steps that you need to know. But what's really great is that once you've created this template, or once you've created your asset, you can duplicate it and use it as a template, and that's a huge time saver. In the industry, it's called recycling content. Super popular, people do it all the time. There's nothing unethical about it. In fact, it is a major shortcut that a lot of people use to help them batch produce content. So let's go ahead and click on the text box that I have here so that I can figure out which font it is that I'm working with. And as you saw, when I clicked on the text box, this whole entire toolbar popped up at the top of the page. This toolbar is super helpful for adding all sorts of customizations to your text. We won't get into all of them right this second, but you can see that a couple of them are highlighted because they're in use. Okay, so we're using DM Serif Display. So now I'm going to jump back to my blank canvas because that's what you're working with, a blank canvas. So let's go ahead and jump over to our left toolbar and let's go to text. Let's go ahead and click on text. And if you're brand new to Canva, you'll probably just see like add a heading, add a subheading, add a body for your text options. These are custom ones that I've created. I can make a separate video on how to actually create like a branding book inside of Canva Pro, which is the paid version of Canva. But for the sake of this video, you can of course just be using Canva free and just add a heading. So we're just going to click that, and you can see that it popped up on our canvas. So I actually want to go ahead and collapse this whole page here, this whole sidebar, because I just want to look at my canvas. So we're going to click this arrow that says collapse, and there we go. Now we've got our canvas. So let's click on our text, and we come up here to the toolbar, and we see that the font is currently Times New Roman. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open the entire font library in Canva, which you can easily get lost in for hours, so be careful. So in this case, because I've already used the font I'm looking for, it's showing up here at the top under the recent fonts that are being found, you know, amongst these graphics that I've made. But for you, you're going to actually search for the font using this search bar. Or let's say you're like, okay, Becca, I'm enjoying learning how to do this, but I actually want to find a different font. No problem. Pause the video, scroll through the endless amounts of fonts that they have here. You can even click on handwriting. You can click on corporate. You can scroll through all of these fonts and you can find a font that speaks to you. Just keep in mind that finding the quote unquote perfect font is going to be very time consuming. So just be mindful of how much time you're spending focusing on finding a perfect font. You can always upgrade your fonts later. You can always change out your branding later. Don't even worry about finding the perfect font right now. Just click a font that you feel like works for the vibe you're going for, the aesthetic you're going for, and go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna click DM Serif Display, and now my font has changed. And let's go ahead and X out of that font library. And the text box is still highlighted because we're still working inside of it. The first thing I want to go ahead and do is I actually want to just write something in here. So, how to create video assets using Canva. Okay, so this is going to be the text that I want to show up in here. Now I want to go ahead and customize the way that this looks. So I've gone ahead and just clicked it once more so that it tells Canva that I'm wanting to work within this text box. And then I'm going to hop up here to the toolbar, and I'm going to click on the A that has this little line of color, and it's going to say text color. So let's click on the A, and now we've got our color library again with all of our colors. And in this case, I actually really want for this font to be my orange color here. Again, you can do all of your custom colors. You can search for colors. That's perfectly fine. Take your time and enjoy the process. Just don't take too long. Don't major on any of the small details, because these are all things that with practice, you'll end up finding your workflow, and you'll figure out exactly what you're looking for, and you'll be able to create templates, and it'll just be a lot faster over time. So try not to major on small details right now. I'm going to go ahead and click the orange that I have here, because that's the color that I want to use for this font. Now, because I really want it to look like this, there are a few more steps that we need to take in order for it to have this actual style. So let me click back over here. And now I'm going to click on my text box, and I actually want the font to be actually a lot bigger. So let me see what size the font is, 60.6. So in order to increase the size of your font, there's two ways to do it. The first way is up here in the toolbar. It's super precise. You can just type in the number that you want, click enter or return on your keyboard, and as you can see, that changed the size of my font. The other way you can do it, it's less precise, but it's more intuitive. So depending on, what you're going for, you can bring your cursor over to any of these circular corners, and you can grab them and change the size of your font that way. And as you can see, every single time I make it smaller or I make it bigger, the number on the font size up on the toolbar actually shrinks or goes up. So it goes down or it goes up. And there's also this little black box to the side that has a W with numbers and then an H with numbers. That's telling us the pixel range, width and height of this text box. Those are details that you don't really need to know right now, but it's just helpful to be familiar with what they are. So for the sake of this recreation, I want this to be 66.6. So there we go. I think it was 66.6, was it? No, excuse me, 60.6. So let me go ahead and type in 60.6. And now we have the correct size in order to duplicate this design. All right, so I'm going to click on my text box again, and I'm going to come up to the toolbar once more and click on effects. And now we've got this whole effect library that has just come up. So the effect that I'm looking for here is the outline effect. And as you can see here, it provides me a default thickness and it provides me a color suggestion. And I actually like how that looks quite a bit, but I really want to make sure that it matches this one since that's the one I'm trying to recreate. The one thing I do want to point out here is you have several options. So you've got shadow, and you can make all sorts of customizations. Just be mindful with some of these that they can end up giving people kind of a double vision view when you're looking at the item. So unless you're going for like a glitchy sort of design, make sure that when you're looking at it, you're not going cross-eyed and that the colors are complementing each other. And then there's lift, which adds a shadow behind your text. So that could be a really fun and helpful effect. There's hollow, which depending on the font, each of these effects will look different, and some fonts don't look as good as others. So depending on the thickness, it can also change how the font looks. Splice, this allows you to actually cut the inside of your letters and separate them, kind of like having a cookie cutter almost. So you've got your outline of your letters and then you've got the inside of your letters. So you can change that, you can change the offset, you can change the thickness, you can change the colors, of course. So there's a lot that you can change. And then we've got outline, which is the one that I want, and I can change the thickness of the outline. And then you've got echo, which this is the one that you have to be really careful with so that you don't end up making people go cross-eyed unless that's the vibe you're going for. And then the direction, so you can see how fun some of these are. And then we've got glitch, which you can change the colors, and this is kind of giving that sort of glitchy vibe, hence the name. Kind of reminds me of the TikTok logo a little bit. And then neon, and you can change the intensity of that. And then you've got a background, and you can make it round, you can make it square, spread it out more, you can make it more transparent, of course change the color. And then you've got the ability to curve your text as well. And the curve effect is actually how I created this here. So these are each individual text boxes that I curved in different directions and then set them up in order to make this really cute kind of like flying words behind the airplane. So a lot of fun effects, but we're going to go ahead and click on outline. And then I just want to confirm in my reference graphic that I'm using the right thickness and the right color. So I need to go brown. Okay, let me go to effects again. Click on the color and select brown. Okay, there we go. That looks so nice. Okay, so I definitely want to make a couple more adjustments because I don't like that the text is just straight across the screen. Because when you're actually looking at this full screen as like a YouTube video, depending on the vibe you're going for, you could enjoy this. But personally, I really prefer to have the text be a little more stacked. Okay, so there are a few more things that I would like to do to this text in order to customize it a little bit more. So the first thing that I actually want to do is I want to resize this text box. And the way that I can do that is by just coming here to the side, and instead of clicking the circle, I want to click this little kind of rectangle that's on the side here. So I actually want my text, I think I want it to be kind of like that. And then I want to grab the box and I want to put it in the center of my canvas. And as you can see, we've got some really great lines popping up that are showing us where the center is, and they're indicating that our text box is centered on the square or on the canvas. So now that I've done that, now I'm really enjoying how this is looking. Okay, let me go back to my reference and make sure that there aren't any other details that I'm missing. So I'm going to click on this and I'm just going to double check. Okay, so we've got some line spacing. So I'm going to show you how to edit your line spacing. So let's open up our text box again, and up here in the toolbar, we're going to click on spacing, and you can see letter spacing and line spacing. I clicked on those because I thought I could highlight them, but they wouldn't highlight. Okay, so what letter spacing does is it actually allows you to make your letters have more space between them, which can be super fun depending on the kind of design that you're doing. And for the sake of this example though, I am actually looking for some decreased line spacing, and I actually know exactly where I want it to go, but you can click around and you can see what it is that you like the best for your design. So for me though, I know that I want it to be 1.15. Great. So that means that my text is now looking really great. It's matching this text over here. Let me click on it again. I'm going to open line spacing, and I want to make sure that my text is anchored in the center of the text box. So that way all of the space is even all the way around. All of my margins around the text are going to be even. And that's just going to give a really nice clean look to the text if I were to decide to add other elements around it. So for example, if you're doing a design that has a little bit more detail, or maybe you're designing a PDF or anything like that, selecting those types of details are going to just add that slightly more detailed experience, I don't know what other word to use, to your design. Okay, so we've got the color, we've got the font, we've got the effects that we wanted, we've got the line spacing. Let's click on our text box again, and now we want to animate it. Let me just confirm which animation it was that I used. Okay, so now we're going to access the animations. Let's come back up to our toolbar, click animate, and in this case, I am using Ascend. But of course, like with anything in Canva, you can preview it and see if it has the vibe you're going for. So many different options to customize the animation of your text. And the reason why we want to add an animation is because, number one, it's going to turn this design into a video file. That's not exactly necessary in order to add assets into CapCut. You can definitely add images, you can add videos, you can add stickers, you can add all kinds of fun digital assets. I just prefer to animate my text because it makes it a little bit more engaging for my audience to watch. So let's go ahead and click on Ascend. And in this case, I want to make sure that it does the ascend on both enter and exit. So I'm going to click both. I want to adjust the speed to make sure that it's entering and exiting at a speed that I will be happy with according to kind of the energy of the video that I'm creating. And then you can select to have it either animate the words or the lines. In my case, I really like for it to animate the words, but of course you can choose line. You can also choose the direction in which your words show up. So they can go up or they can go down in this case. Some of the animations allow you to choose from side to side, and then you can reverse exit the animation as well, which is really cool. So basically what that would look like is when you preview the animation, it's going to have the text enter going up and exit going down. And we'll preview that in just a moment. Okay, great. So now that we have added our animation, let me go ahead and just double check over here in our example asset to make sure that I'm not missing any details, because again, I want these to match. Okay, so it looks really good to me. The one last thing that you can also customize is how long your video animation is going to last for, so like the duration of the video animation. In this case, it's defaulting to 5 seconds. You can go ahead and come all the way down here to the bottom left of the page where it says notes, duration, and timer. You can click on duration and you can actually adjust how long each of these slides is. They're basically like presentation slides, and you can customize all of these details, including their entrance animations. That's for another video, but just so that you know, Canva, for having a free option as an online tool, it's a very powerful software. Okay, so this is our page that we're working on, and if I want it to be longer or shorter, I can just click on one of these end pieces to drag it in or out. And in my case, I know that I want it to stay at 5 seconds. I'm happy with that. This one was 5 seconds, and I actually ended up shortening it inside of when I was editing my video in CapCut. But what's helpful is that if you do have it a little bit longer, that does give you a little more footage, so to speak, to work with in case you need to do some more editing. So depending on what type of asset you've created, having it last longer will be more beneficial to your video. Okay, now that I've decided that I want it to stay at 5 seconds, let's go ahead and preview it. So I'm sure you've seen in CapCut, you have this line that you can move around in order to see your video timeline. Like you can move it around your video timeline. In this case, inside of Canva, I want to go ahead and put it right before the slide that we were working on. And I want to press this play button in order to preview what we've done. So I really like how that looks. The only thing that I want to change is I want to see, maybe I won't have reverse exit animation clicked. So let me go ahead and preview how that looks now that I changed that. Yeah. Okay, so I actually think I like better having the animation exit the same way it entered. That's all of this is very much preference. So depending on the style of your video, you'll determine, you know, how something's supposed to look. Okay, great. So I'm very happy with how this duplicate has turned out. I really hope that you found this video helpful. The last step that we need to do in order to actually use the assets that we create inside of Canva is we actually have to download them. So let's come up to this top right corner of the page, and you see the share button. You're going to click on that share button, and then you're going to come here and you're going to click the download button. Now, for this particular file and for some files, there will be a default type, a default file type that they suggest. We don't want to download this as a PDF because what we want is to be able to import it into CapCut to make the video that we're editing even better. So we're going to click on this, and in this case I want it to download as a video, so an MP4. And then I like the fact that it's already offering the 1080p HD quality. That's the typical quality that you want for a good quality YouTube video. So we'll just keep it right there. As soon as you have more than one page, this option will show up, and then you can click on it, and then you can either select current page. It doesn't always work, so I do like to double check that the page that I want is selected. Depending on the file that you're exporting from here, it will automatically have the page checked. So I think sometimes it just depends on what file you're working with. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and just click the checkbox for the page that I'm downloading, and I'm going to click done. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the download button. And now you can see this box pops up saying downloading. And as soon as that's done downloading, we'll have our file. And because again, we animated the text, it is a video file. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so now that our asset has downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and minimize my web page. I'm going to open my Finder. So if you're on a Mac, you'll just open your Finder and go to your Downloads folder. If you're on a Windows computer, you'll open your folder. I don't know if it's called Finder on Windows also, but you'll open your Downloads folder essentially. And we'll go ahead and see that our download has appeared. So I do want to preview it. So I'm going to go ahead and double click it to open it up, and I want to look at it. Yeah. So that's exactly what I was hoping for. And again, in my previous video, I showed you how to actually add these custom assets into CapCut. So make sure you check out that video if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out with me and watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you found it helpful, make sure to give it a like. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments below, and let me know what tutorials you'd like to see next in order to help you build your dream online business. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye.